Lawyers say an innocent man has been sitting in prison for more than a decade, and they have new evidence to prove it. This concerns a double murder out of Kansas City, Kansas that KCTV5 covered 12 years ago.
Who killed Carl Schroll and his wife, Kathleen?
It's the type of plot you'd see on a television crime show. Or is it? April 7th, 2008. KCK police were called to this home on South 78th Street. Inside, they found the bodies of 64-year-old Carl Schroll and his wife, 45-year-old Kathleen. Both had been shot to death. Police initially considered it a possible murder-suicide. There were no signs of any sort of struggle inside their home. But before she died, Kathleen called her mother and told her this man, Olin Pete Coons, was inside her home, threatening to kill them both. Kathleen's mother never heard gunshots. Coons became the prime suspect in the murders and after 2 trials was convicted of first-degree murder. He's been in prison since 2009, but it was never a cut-and-dry case. Kathleen's gun was found near her body and had been used to kill both her and Carl. Her DNA was on the weapon as well, and there was gunshot residue on her left hand. And Coons had an alibi. He told investigators he'd been home all night and had been online. Activity on his home computer backed that up. His daughter and her boyfriend were also home at the time and say Coons never left the house. But prosecutors held tight to that phone call from Kathleen to make their case. So how did the victims and the accused know each other? Kathleen was the caretaker for Coons' elderly father who had dementia. It was discovered that multiple checks for thousands and thousands of dollars had been taken from his savings accounts. Coons reported the suspected abuse to KCK police. Coons also learned Kathleen had been named as the beneficiary of his father's insurance policy when he died, something he was unaware of until after his father passed away. Attorneys believe Kathleen Schroll knew investigators were about to catch up to her and say she'd also been embezzling money from her employer. Framing Coons for her murder, they say, would release her of any further suspicion and would allow the money to go to her daughter and granddaughter. Coons' attorneys also say Wyandotte County prosecutors used evidence gathered by an unreliable jailhouse informant to help get their conviction. Now, a hearing will be held next month, and we'll be sure to keep you posted on this case. Pete Coons is represented by the Midwest Innocence Project along with KU Law School. That legal duo has successfully freed other people like Richard Jones, who had a look-alike, and Floyd Bledsoe. Both of those men spent more than a decade in prison for crimes they did not commit.